Welcome to Coffee Date with Spirit. Grab your favorite mug and get cozy while your hosts, Kristen Forno and Amy Potter, two maybe not so ordinary mystics, chat about the extraordinary magic that can happen when you invite spirit into your life. Today we are so excited and honored to welcome Susan Hough, author of Walking with Sobonfu and founder of Living Your Gifts. For over 35 years, Susan has been a bridge between traditional healing and indigenous wisdom, working with teens, families, and communities as both a counselor and ordained minister. Susan's life transformed when she discovered the teachings of Sobonfu Somé from the Dagara tribe of West Africa. What began as reading Sobonfu's book, The Spirit of Intimacy, led to an 18-year mentorship that would reshape everything Susan understood about healing, ritual, and community. Through Sobonfu's guidance, Susan learned the profound power of traditional African rituals and made it her mission to share this ancient wisdom with the modern world. As president of Wisdom Spring and creator of Walking for Water Project, Susan has brought clean water to over 55 communities in Africa and India, while educating thousands of young people about humanitarian service. Her unique approach combines traditional counseling, indigenous healing methods, and spiritual coaching to help people live their authentic gifts. Susan joins us synchronistically today from Laguna Beach, California, Amy's hometown, where she continues mentoring young people and carrying forward Sobonfu's legacy of healing through sacred ritual and community. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome, everybody, to Coffee Date with Spirit. Kristen and I are very excited to welcome Susan Hough with Living Your Gifts to the podcast today. And we're going to dig right in with a welcoming ritual that Susan's going to lead us through.
Well, I love this ritual. This ritual means a lot to me. Sobonfu always said the most important thing you need to do is welcome somebody in. And so, I mean, there's all kinds of jokes about welcoming that I could go into, but to do it the way that she really said will help you is to welcome yourself in. When you wake up in the morning, welcome yourself back from the dream world and just kind of breathe in, welcome Susan, I'm welcome Amy and Kristen and welcome all the people that are joining this podcast. May you be welcomed into this sacred space that we're creating. May you be welcomed into your body and feel how grateful you are to be able to be in this dimension on this earth plane. Welcome yourself into what you'd like to create and manifest today, how you'd like to feel yummy inside and carry that yumminess on the outside. Welcome in the spirit of groundedness and earth and the spirit of fire that aligns you with passion and purpose and your vision. Water that helps you to go with the flow and dive deep into those things that you need to dive into. The earth to nurture your spirit and to ground you in the present moment of being in your heart, and the mineral spirits to awaken the wisdom that lies within your bones, that you carry that wisdom into every aspect of your day today, and nature that helps you move through your challenges, your transformation, helps you align with authenticity and to be able to take off the mask when you need to and to be able to know when you're wearing one. And so that's pretty much what I try to do every morning. And I also try to do it when I go to bed. Like, thank you for this day, and it's also about welcoming and gratitude, right? If we're grateful, just things align better, right? And so I love that ritual. And when I went to the village, I mean, I have never felt so welcomed in my life. Like, I have to say, here I am. I'm going to the first time to Sobonfu's village, and I'm getting out. It's 120 degrees heat. I'm bringing water to these beautiful people that I don't know, but I already carry in my heart. And they tell us these guys on these old bikes, get these old-fashioned bikes to get out of the van, right? And I have just done a ritual that she was giving me hell about the whole time, right? And it hits that what it was that I needed and what I was avoiding in myself. And so my heart is already blown open by doing a ritual. So we get out of the van, we're walking up this hill. It's hot. I mean, it's like a hot that I'm from the East Coast, so it's hot. And up this hill, and then on the top of the hill, and I'm by Sobonfu, all these people are gathered. And I'm like, are they here because we're coming? And she says, oh no, sweetheart. When somebody leaves the village and comes home, people will walk for miles to welcome them.
It's amazing.
And I was like, what? And then I just started crying. And it was palpable. I have never felt so honored and loved and cherished for nothing, for
Wow.
me. And yeah,
It's
so
beautiful.
welcoming is important. It's really important also when you talk about welcoming, is like when your partner or your friend or whoever it is comes home or you come home, to welcome yourself, welcome the person who's just come walk through the door home and into this sacred space. And also, if you live by yourself, it's really important, like even if you work, and because I work a lot in my space, is to change my clothes and welcome myself back into my home in a new way.
Yeah, I like that.
So welcoming is it, man. Do it.
Mhm.
There you go.
Well, welcome, Susan.
Welcome.
And rituals, that's
Welcome.
what you always do too. Welcome. You say your name. My name is Susan, and you say, welcome, Susan. And I would say, and what Kristen would say, my name is
My
Kristen.
name is Kristen.
Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you, Susan. Welcome, Susan.
And then Amy, you say your name.
My name is Amy.
Welcome, Amy.
Welcome, Amy.
Did before every ritual, and I still do that. Like every ritual, I welcome every person in to the ritual.
I love that. I love it. It's such an honor. It's an honoring just of the body and the spirit in the moment. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that story. It was so visceral as you wrote it in your book. I felt like I could see the people at the top of the hill. And I felt, as you described it, that sense of awe. Like, what? People take time for this? People show up for
Miles
this?
in the heat with no water.
Right. With everything that they have as their what we perceive as their burden, their generosity of spirit is right there out in the open, no matter what. It was just, it's beautiful.
It was honestly probably one of the best moments of my life. Giving birth was to both my kids was, of course, amazing.
Yeah.
It was right
Different kind of amazing.
Yeah, it was right up there with,
Right.
like, wow, it was
Well,
beautiful.
why don't we take a few minutes and just take that step back and get a sense of how you got onto this journey with Sobonfu, and it seems like this was a turning point in your life for all of your work. I just
And who is she? Yeah,
who is she? How, like, what is this? That she's so powerful. Even as you opened, you were instantly talking about her. So let's introduce her. And I felt her.
Welcome, Sobonfu, and
Welcome, Sobonfu. I love that.
here. She's here.
I felt her. I felt her when I was out before we were starting. I felt her come. I felt her through Jennifer's work a few moments very meaningfully. And I actually felt her show up this morning, which is so powerful and beautiful.
I mean, she's the bomb.
The bomb foo.
The bomb foo.
When I was doing my ritual before we start the podcast, it's my morning ritual too. And I was lighting my candles and incense, and I felt her like just step into the energy field. And I was like, oh, I'm welcoming you in. And I lit the two like Reiki candles that I light on my altar, and I welcomed her in on my altar and feel her here very profoundly. And yeah, just the exuberance and life force. And I've never met her. I've only met her through stories. And your beautiful book, by the way, which is Walking with Sobonfu. And I read her book, The Spirit of Intimacy, too, which is stunning. stunning.
have that right here.
I mean, what do you say? Like about, I mean, I was on a journey already. I'd studied with many people, Jennifer being my closest friend and having brought her into Leesburg, Virginia and stuff. But when I read Sobonfu's book, which I read both Welcoming Spirit, I read Spirit of Intimacy and then Welcoming Spirit Home, I became obsessed would be a good word, obsessed, which I mean, I'm pretty fiery, so I can get in that energetic of obsession, but it was different. Like I made people read our book. I've never made anybody read a book, made somebody read a book. Like you got
Right.
this book, and then, kind of poking them. Have you read the book? Have you read the book? And I it was like something just happened to me from it. Like I started crying in particular when, I read about the mothering part and read about how we all have a gift, and her name, Sabamfu's name meant keeper of the rituals, right? And so what a gift she was that she had these indigenous rituals that she was bringing to us, right? And I didn't know that at the time. I just knew she had a book, right? I just knew she had a
And
book.
who is she and where is she from? And
She's from Burkina Faso in West Africa, the Dagara tribe. And her name meant keeper of the rituals. And she was here to keep those rituals alive, to bring them to us in the modern world. I think on an unconscious level, she knew that community was falling apart and the value of community and collaborating and seeing that nobody is more special than anybody else, which, I really resonates with me. Like, I really do believe nobody is special than anybody else. And when I read the book, it was just resonated in me like no other thing has ever resonated in me. And so I made people read it, and then I got tired of my own self talking about it and wanting more, not even knowing what I wanted. And so I found a place she was teaching in South Carolina. I called them. They gave me a phone number. I started calling a phone number, and every once in a while some woman would answer, but I think, why doesn't this woman have a freaking answering machine? So finally she answered it, and this little African voice says, yes. I'm like, yes, what? Yes, I will do what you want, she says. I was like, I don't know what I want.
I don't even know what I want. What do I want? Tell me.
Just wanted to talk to you. She said, well, call my assistant tomorrow and I'll come to where you live. I'm like, what? What just happened, right?
How and why and what?
And so
Now,
I did.
how old were you? How old were you at this time?
I'm 67 now. That was 25 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have kids already?
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah, I had both my children. Ashley Branner was 3, I think. 3. Ashley was 11, 10 or 11, right around that
wow.
age, 2.5, 3.
I'm
Yeah,
just trying to get a sense of like who you were at this moment
I was a mom. I
when
was
these
in
books hit you,
I was
know?
in mental health. I was working with adolescents, and I'd already done a lot with adolescents because
Right.
adolescents have always been important to me. And I also, at the time, was working part-time with schizophrenics,
Mm.
and with Jennifer Hall. So I was setting up Jennifer.
So when the first book, how did you come upon it? Do you
I
remember?
I was my therapist became one of my friends. I know that's not supposed to happen, but
mine did too. Good ones, I think that it does.
David Davis, and he said, I think you're supposed to, he had me read Maladoma's book,
Okay.
which
Of
is
Water and Fire, right?
of Water and Spirit.
Water and Spirit.
and I
That's
read it.
available online. You can
Yeah,
listen to it.
that's a great book too. It's a
Yeah.
fabulous book. But I gravitated towards, oh, I saw there was a woman, right? And I gravitated towards that. And that I loved his book, but like I wasn't like, you know.
Right, right.
With her, I was like, oh, I have to meet her. I mean, there's just no question.
That's amazing.
And so who I was a mom. Who I am is still a mom. You know, I still mother a lot of people. It's kind of my deal. I think it's
Yeah.
probably one of my biggest gifts is I know how to do community and I know how to see gifts and I know how to help people bring them out further. And I
Mm.
think there was something in that part of me that she saw and before I even saw it, right?
Mm.
And so, you know, Jennifer and I, when we picked her up, it was because Jennifer was in town. We were being so sweetsy.
I
And
love this story. I read this. I was kind of rereading the books in the past couple days, and this story cracked me up.
I mean, because if you both know Jennifer
Yes.
and now you know me, we're not the sweetsiest people, right? You know, it's just
Oh,
not.
oh, totally. Right.
It's not, and together we're really not, right? So
Yeah.
we're in the car, we're in the front seat. She won't get in the front seat, just sit in the back seat, right? Okay, all right, whatever. And you know, and we're being, you know,
On your best behavior.
behaving ourselves. And she starts talking about farting. And I joined right in, right? I got a great fart story, so I joined right in. And later on, alone with her, I said, "Why? Why? Did
Yeah.
you say that?" And she said, "You were acting like my, can I say,
Yes.
shit was
Yeah.
different than yours."
Yeah.
And she said, "If you had not joined me in that conversation, I probably wouldn't have ever come back."
That's unbelievable.
And
An icebreaker.
there you go. And then it was just natural from then on. It was just she knew what she was doing. She really did know what she was doing. And
When you saw her after, so you read the book, somebody hands you the book, her husband's story. You listen to it, which is very mystical, and it's about the indigenous experience of speaking with tree ancestors, like the whole, real like deep work that happens in these tribes that's really connected to the earth and the spirits. And you bounce over to Sobonfu and something lights you up, and then you're standing in her presence. Like she just says yes on a phone, and you're standing in her presence. I mean, how are you feeling?
I think it was so natural.
It's amazing.
To say, I really, you know, they used to say we were the devils together, her and I. And first when she said that, I was like, the devils? That's horrible. And she said,
Can't be good.
my tradition, it means you two are kind of aligned and you kind of, you know, and so it was just so easy for me with her.
Huh.
You know, and it's easy with me with Jennifer. It's easy with me with a lot of people, but with her, it felt like like parts of our path were so aligned,
Right.
right? And that something was waking up inside of me. And so once I got past I mean, she is
Right.
my friend.
Right.
It
I
did.
feel like that's like the root from, I mean, the little that I've read and experienced and heard from you and Jennifer, but it feels like that's the root of her teaching, right? Is to connect through authenticity, to connect through, like, to take all the masks off and to connect in this real way. And when you can be around people who hold space for you like that, it feels like it should feel natural, right? Because you get to just be you. But sometimes I remember I still am taking masks off, but I've taken a lot of them off. And when you first start doing that, it is so scary to be held by somebody who's so purely in them, in their own.
Embodied.
Yes.
I think maybe she saw that I do wear masks. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
There's some I haven't wanted to look at, but I'm not a big mask person myself. So
Right.
kind of what you see is what you get. If I'm sad,
Mhm.
I'm going to say I'm sad. If I'm happy, I'm going to say I'm happy. If I want to mess somebody up, I'm going to say I want to mess you up. I don't really hold back too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that way, there was of course you have to, when you're healing somebody, you can say everything you're thinking, right? Because
Yeah.
you gotta like, let them feel it, know it, and see it. But she
Mhm.
felt such a safe container.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It just was easy. It was palpable.
So you spent, I mean, after that moment of picking her up, you spent the next 25, well, or the next 20 years or so by her side,
Yeah.
working with her. Did you realize that, you would be linked to her for so long? Is it just something that happened? Like your work became so intertwined with hers. How did that
I
evolve?
really thought about it.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know, I think it just happened. It just like I think that's what happens on your path. Like you're walking your path and you're like, I just felt so much gratitude, right?
Yeah.
That I had another sister to walk this path
Mhm.
with.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
Yeah.
so
Full goosebumps on that. It's just,
important to have these people in your life that you can just be you and grow and nurture and love, right?
yeah.
And continue to carry them with you on the other side. But then there's that in between space, where you're just like, oh my God, who am I now? She's no longer with me in the physical form, I knew
Mhm.
she was dying, but she had not died for so many years. That, I started to believe, well, maybe she isn't gonna die.
Right.
Yeah, maybe she isn't gonna die.
Will you talk about some of her teachings and the medicine wheel a bit?
No, no, no. That's a big one. Will you talk
Yes.
about?
Yeah, maybe just speak about the foundations of her teachings in connection with or in connecting with the earth and the elements and fire and water and the method with which she held space,
I mean,
ritual and making every day sacred.
it was all about ritual. I mean, every moment was a ritual. Everything they did in the village was a ritual. I mean, everything we do is a ritual. We may not recognize it's a ritual, but it's all about the elements, but it's also like ritual and how you speak, ritual and how you drink your coffee, ritual and how, coffee with spirit. How do I take in this coffee? In the morning, I think, ooh, I love my coffee. Water, I think of it, this is my water at first, right? My beginning of my water. I think, how am I going to take this in? How can I, what's going on? Do I need more peace today? Because that's the element of water, peace, grief, letting go, clarity, rebirth, finding your flow, diving deep into something. So, I mean, it's a ritual. Everything's a ritual. So that's what I really loved about it was like, connecting with your ancestors, the fire, that yumminess of knowing you're not alone, even when you may feel you're alone, right? And igniting that passion and purpose. Wow, I'm going to write about a vision today. Like what do I need to envision for my day? What is, my thing is right now is like, hey, light up in me what's the next act, because I feel like I'm in my final act. I mean, it could be a long final act or it could be a tomorrow till tomorrow final act, but
Right.
serve. How do
Yeah.
I want to serve, right? So that's when I think about my fire. Earth, it's an earth year, 0 and 5s or earth years. It's all with numbers that go with each element. And so it's like, how can I get more grounded in who I am in this earth year? How can I connect with the mother of all mothers?
Yeah.
Yum, right? Who doesn't who do, who doesn't ask anything of me? The earth as and yet it keeps me connected. It gets
Provides.
gives me nurturance,
Mhm.
and it opens my heart, and it helps me to live more from my heart. So I think about, okay, how am I going to walk more connected to the earth? You
Right.
know, and with the mineral spirits, I got a lot of minerals.
I think we're all like
Kristen and I
connected.
do too.
I love them, and I think, wow, I got these bones, and these are the most important minerals I got going. And I used to love that because she'd say the wisdom is in your bones. So what you came in with is right here. All of it. You are a medicine wheel. You're a medicine wheel.
You're the medicine. Hmm.
Because we got all of that in here. We got the fire, we got the water, we got the earth, we got the minerals, and we got our own nature, our own being, right? And so it's all about the elements. It's all about being more deeply aligned with that. And you can use that. I don't care what religion you're a part of. I mean, we are all connected to the elements, and then the air is all around it, right? Didn't talk a lot about that, but you knew it, right?
Hmm.
So, like my ritual this morning was I was like, I opened up my window and I thought, okay, come on, air, come,
Hmm.
come all around me and help me kind of get solid for this beautiful podcast.
Yes.
So yeah, it's an Earth year. So it's an Earth year, isn't it?
It is an earthier. This one is dragging us through it for sure.
Just in your heart, no matter what comes your way, and be grounded.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a year to learn how to be grounded in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Think
Absolutely.
that one, right?
Yeah.
Just let me love, I think it's a hard year. I mean, Earth years, and if, everybody has the element that they were birthed into, but we have all the elements within us. And it's always kind of like, I need a lot of water, good thing I live by the water, right?
Mhm.
Same.
Uh,
Mhm.
so in my chart, I am a fire, and I'm a fire holder.
Is that what it's described when your name is analyzed and you have the
And so
okay.
when I had a red couch, she was like, I said, but I love red. She's like, you need to like get some blue a little bit more. Blue than I've ever had in my life in my house. I do. I have it in my home a lot, and I still like red a lot, but I don't even wear red as much as I used to. I used to wear red more, but
I've noticed when I started talking about that or looking into what, I'm a nature element, and I started analyzing my name and, and also my family, right? The kids' names and everyone in the house to understand the balance. And I repel fire. Like I cannot be around red. Red is not, I just like
so do you have too much fire in your chart?
it's my youngest daughter in the household. It's like a Leo, flame on, like full on. And
In a fire year too.
yeah,
Hmm.
so for me,
Hmm.
so it made sense. And I hadn't understood it in that way. It was so interesting to apply that kind of understanding, just coming at it from a different angle. Like, why are certain things I just can't wear red. I couldn't do it forever, you know?
Oh, it's good you don't wear red because you're reflecting something to her. Maybe she's already got enough fire being.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I used to wear red all the time. I'm a fire sign in astrology, and red was my color. I had dining rooms that were red, like red floor, red was, and then something shifted in, gosh, like the either, yeah, early 2000s, I want to say. And when I moved into this house, it was all about blue. I'm even wearing blue today. And so it was interesting. I was thinking, I made some ritual water just a couple days ago, right around the solstice, and how the water element actually balances that fire element. So I feel like that is kind of where I am now in this, like, I'm like hyperly creative and transformative, which is
nature. Yeah.
yeah, I know it's really interesting. And I was thinking about that because we are in the Dagara medicine wheel nature element, but it is about transformation and stripping down and alchemy in some ways. And so is nature, does it sort of hold all of the elements in some ways?
I I think nature is all about transformation and change. So, and helping people with challenges. So, it's and being. So, I think all of them are integrated together. I don't think you can do one without the other. They are
It's just
all.
interesting because you have fire, you have water, you have minerals, but then you have nature, which doesn't feel like an element to me, right? So it's sort of like and so it's just, it was something that I love words and kind of dissecting words. And I wonder if nature in Sobonfu's language, if there's a subtlety there, if it means something
I mean,
different.
it means authenticity. I think it means transformation. I think it means taking off your mask. I think it means a lot of things, but all of them I think are layered like that. I don't think I
Because
mean,
the earth can hold everything too. It's again, yeah.
Yeah.
is in the middle of her
Yeah.
wheel.
Yep.
All the in there, the fires in the south,
Yes.
and so there's the earth, right?
Mhm.
Right in the center of everything. So it used to be like certain elements would be hard for me to be around too because of my own medicine wheel. But now it's like the medicine wheel for me is like it's almost like a somewhere where it just takes me in. Like if I look at somebody's medicine wheel, I don't even know if I'm reading it accurately based on what it actually the numbers are, or if it just takes me into a portal.
Mhm.
Mm,
So
I love that.
I mean, I just like to think like, what is my medicine wheel? My medicine,
Mhm.
and within me need
Yeah.
Right.
so
Right.
that I can walk with my medicine better.
Out in the world.
Right? Or for myself, because
Mhm.
in alignment with our own medicine, well, I mean, we're gonna be a little off, right?
Yeah. And the more we align ourselves, the more our outer world aligns.
Yeah, I love the medicine wheel and I love rituals, and like I said, I can come up with this goofy rituals sometimes, What okay, what am I sweeping under the rug?
I love it. If everything's a ritual, that's how you're walking in a metaphor all the time, right? I love it. Well, your book has so many beautiful rituals in
Yeah.
here and also the shrines, which I
Mhm.
feel like is such an interesting aspect of for me, I didn't have shrines in my house, in my space for a long time. I would hide things that were magical, when I was younger because it was too out there for people. I was in a very masculine world. I was very in the corporate world. All of this stuff was just really hidden. And now I've just got piles of things all over the place and colors and the shrines I think are in the way you outline them here, which is so helpful. And I learned this going to Jennifer's retreats over time, but in here it's such a great reference. It's just the alignment with the elements and how you use them and what their deep meaning is and the daily connection with them.
Yeah, will you talk about the different setting, the different altars?
I mean,
Or-
sure. I mean, I can tell you a funny story about I had in my last place I lived here. My landlord hated that I had my ancestor shrine in my bedroom.
Mm.
Wow.
You're never going to get a man if you have that shrine in the bed. All those ancestors looking at you.
They're helping you
They're
find
all just
a partner.
staring at you.
It's like, it's like, I don't care.
If they can't deal with that, then
Where else am I going to put it? I didn't have the space to put it anywhere else in that place. Now
right.
if you look, I've got my fire shrines right over there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's aligned with a position. What is fire is
I, you know, it, she used to talk to me about it. Sometimes you cannot put, like, it just happens to be, right? It just
Yeah.
happens. But sometimes it's impossible in some homes to do that. So you
Yes.
get caught up in it. Like,
Yeah.
caught up into anything, then you're going to get stuck and you're going to need
Right.
lots of water. You should do it in,
Where
but
is fire on the wheel? Is it north?
south.
South. Okay.
We got to know.
You never put a water shrine in your bedroom. Don't ever put a water shrine in your bedroom, and you don't have to make the shrines look big and huge, or the elemental shrines. For my earth shrine, I have a pile of my earth from home, from
Mm.
Pittsburgh, because I live here in California, in a bowl,
Yeah.
just earth,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, they were all around the village, but I, you, you know, you, you didn't always know, because number one, they didn't have candles with them.
Mm-hmm.
And number two is it doesn't have to stand out. A mineral shrine can literally, if you set the intention and do the ash a certain way, blah, 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 it can be one rock.
Yeah.
People
How
have
did
to know you're doing it.
Right.
in the village, how did they honor the ancestors at the fire is the ancestral altar, right? Oh, just fire. Okay.
His ancestors. I mean, so of course here she had us bring pictures of our ancestors and do more that way. But and they did have photos, they
Mm.
did. But I got to go to a grief ritual in Africa, which was amazing,
I
right?
so want to talk to you about that I'm a death doula, and I would love just to hear you talk more about the grief ritual. And because I've just found that there's so much intimacy that I've witnessed at that threshold. My experience of end of life has changed the way I emotionally and spiritually feel about death now. It's an opening and such a sacred space.
It's so sacred. The closer you get, the more sacred it becomes too.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm.
Grief rituals. I mean, grief rituals are so much more than just grief rituals. It's about grieving everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
grieving going from adolescence to being adult, from
Mm.
grieving the loss of an animal, it's grieving the loss of a dream, it's grieving the loss of a marriage, it's grieving the loss of hopefully, of a child, it's grieving the loss of a friend, it's grieving the loss of moving from a job. It's grieving, it's just grieving, right? Grieving is constant. We are constantly grieving. It's sacred. It's so sacred. It was the most sacred of all of her rituals was, I
Mm.
felt, the grief ritual. And the most complicated of all rituals was the grief ritual. And so there are a lot of people that are doing grief rituals, but people used to, after she died, would call me and say, "Oh, I'm going to start doing a grief ritual. When are you going to start teaching grief ritual?" I'm like, "No." Because before she died, she said, nobody has permission to do a grief ritual.
Why did she say that, do you think? What was her?
She hadn't taught it to us like
Mm.
step by step by step. She wanted
Mm.
to really teach. She said she was going to, and she got sick and it didn't happen. But
Mm.
she came to me in a dream 3 years ago. I mean, I really was like, I'll do any ritual she's taught me. I'm just not doing a grief ritual.
Yeah.
And she came to me in a dream, and it was just like in person. And I'm fire, so I do dream. My dreams are usually prophetic. I don't always dream. I mean, have not, I don't always know what they mean, but I do dream. And this one was, and she came in and she said, "It's time." And I said, "Time for what?" "It's time to do grief ritual." I said, "I'm not doing a fucking grief."
You're like, what?
Couldn't.
Hmm.
And I had a fight with her in the dream. And just like I had a fight with her the first time she told me she was going to do a grief ritual. I was like, "I'm not doing a grief ritual. Are you kidding? I'm not doing it. I don't need a grief ritual." At the time I'd lost my grandmother, but I hadn't lost my parents. I hadn't lost,
Mm.
any I'd had significant losses, don't get me wrong, but nothing like take me to the ground kind of loss, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't want to do it the first time. So when she came to me in a dream, it was very similar to the first conversation we had where I said, I'm not doing it. And so we fought, we went back and forth, and she said, I see it differently now. It's very complicated. And I was like, and I'm not doing it.
Hmm.
That's what I said, I'm not doing it. She said, yeah, you are. I'm not.
She said, "Have you ever said no to me before?" Because it's not going to be this time.
So it went on, and it felt like a long dream. And finally, I said, all right, I'll do it.
Fine.
I'm not going to do it. I mean, that's,
You still in the back of your mind, you're like, I'm not going to.
I still, it's a dream. I'm not going to do it. Then a week later, maybe not even a week, and she'd always told me about this young woman in Germany that she really loved. That was the last place she did her ritual training, right? Was in Germany. And she did it. She went from here, from my house to, I think she went to England to see a friend in England. From England, then she went to teach in Germany, right?
Wow.
Last closing of that ritual village, she taught right before she died. And she said,
Wow.
a young woman there, her name is Jessica, and you're supposed to know her. So Jessica calls me and said, Sobonfu came to me and a ritual and said, I can't do the grief ritual without you. I was like, okay.
She got you.
So I
She
started,
roped you in.
so 2 years ago, I started
Hmm.
doing the grief ritual in Germany with Jessica, and I have now decided to do it in 2026
Wow.
in Massachusetts. It's a big deal for me to say yes, and I don't say it, I don't know what the word would be. I mean, it's a hard one for me. It is. It's a hard one for me, and I say, thank goodness I'm got a village, and I know my village will show up, and we will do it together because that's what you need is a village for this ritual. It's a community thing. It's beautiful. It's we're not,
And
we have to.
why for her and for you is grieving important?
I mean, it's the biggest thing. If we don't let go of our grief, then we get, and that's when we act it out, right? We act it out. We either go into depression or anger or rage, or, it can get bigger and bigger and bigger and manifest in unhealthy ways inside of our bodies. And yeah, I do a mini grief ritual every week.
Mm.
Like with my milk and honey ritual, I've kind of adapted. I mean, that's what's kind of kept me sane throughout these years of not doing it. I kind of made milk and honey a mini grief ritual for me. Like don't always go down there and make it a grief ritual, but I always know I can. I always
Mhm.
know that the water takes my grief.
I loved the reading that ritual, and I was thinking of doing it here because I'm right by the beach, and it's interesting how much discomfort comes into my body when I think of walking out with this and doing and just other people seeing this.
Mm.
It's like I don't know what it's about, but going to the ocean and putting something into it.
Oh yeah, I mean, people will look at me like I'm crazy.
Right. Like there's something strange about that. And yet I did one of the milk and honey ritual at a retreat and felt that release. This like the honey just pulling
Mm.
stuff out. And so I have to do that. That's the one that I took from the book that I thought, and I'm actively working on grief right now for myself. And it's really speaking to me to try it and bring it
It
down there.
resonated with me too. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I look forward to that ritual every Friday. I have a young kid who started with me when she was 8. She's now 22. She's going to do it with me tomorrow. So or some women will come and go and down to me. And Yeah, I mean, when I first started doing that ritual, number one, I was uncomfortable because I knew maybe I was going to get loud,
Hmm.
or you don't have to. Like I've had, the first time somebody does that ritual with me, I say, "Hey, just saying,
Emote.
I don't know what's going to happen." And I could cry or I could raise my voice or I could just be quiet. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I will pray out loud and you will hear what I am doing because she used to say, when you say it out loud, it gives it more
Yeah.
to it, right? And so, a lot of times people start with this ritual and they do it quietly, right? And then, 2 or 3 weeks in with it with me, they're like, oh yeah.
Can you share the ritual? I know it's in the book, but for people listening, can you just give a simple description of the ritual?
Milk and honey, and you put it in a jar and you put it together and you shake it like you shake it and make sure it's mixed well and you walk down to the water. If you're walking to the river, walk with the flow. You walk with, and I love it at the ocean, but I do love me a river milk and honey because I'm from the East Coast, so I do it here at the ocean, but so I try to even walk with the ocean a little bit, just imagining I'm walking with the flow, right? And you go through the elements, right? You pray like I did at the beginning to the fire, to the water, to the earth, to the mineral, to the nature. And then you just let it rip. You take turns and you say whatever it is you need to say. You give it to the water. You just say, hey, I'm like, really churned up. I'm churned up. I'm not, I'm sad. I feel like I'm stuck. I can't
Mm.
I can't move well right now. I'm stuck in this thought. This thought keeps ruminating in my head of maybe it's the feeling of unworthiness or insecurity, even. It could be a feeling that you just can't let go of, or a thought, or whatever it might be, right? And you're like, I'm giving it to you, transform this, take it. And then at the end, after everybody's done that or prayed or whatever it is that sometimes I do go, not often do I just do gratitude, to be honest, because I'm a human and I always have something I'm dealing with within myself, right? Or for someone else, if somebody's sick, hey, help my sister out. She's not well,
Right.
and I don't want to carry this. I can't carry this by myself, right? Here, take it. It's beautiful. The water transmutes it. So, and then you make the offering of the milk and honey together, for milk representing nurturance and honey sweetness. And I imagine as I put it in the water that it's just going out all around the world and helping every
Mm.
sentient being that water is life. I mean, water is life. Without water, there is no life. And
Mhm.
so may this spread all around to all the people in war and struggle and the children and all beings of the world and the chaos and our government and may everybody be filled with sweetness and nurturance, and may everybody who drinks water or needs water, or the plants, everything needs it. So may it refresh us all and cleanse us so that we can continue to do the work we're here to do on this earth.
Amen to that.
Right?
That's
You.
beautiful.
And the
That's,
more we pray, the more our energy field gets larger, right? And the more we do it if we can do it in community, I mean, that field just expands.
yeah.
And there's so much potential in it, right? Of
Yes.
we can collaborate. Like here, we're collaborating.
Yes.
This is community right here.
Yeah.
And sending it out into the community.
I know that's what the listeners, anyone that shares in this.
And we all need it, right?
Mhm. That's for sure.
Need water, that's for sure.
So that is actually a great transition. It's 1:11, by the way. You picked up a mission around water in your life.
I
Can
mean,
you talk a little bit about, you know, where that came from for you and what you're doing specifically just to help spread the word on that? We'd love to share that.
where it came from, right? It came from I mean, maybe if I'd never met Sobonfu, it maybe would never have come from. I would never
Right.
have done this mission. But yet I feel it in my bones. It is my mission too, right? And my grandfather was the head of the waterworks in Leesburg as a little girl. And there's lots of things that lead you on your path that you don't recognize or have a clue how it's going to unfold. And that's why, to all the listeners out there, you may not know how your life is going to unfold, but you got to just keep walking it and knowing it's coming your way, right?
Yeah.
But this one in particular happened because my daughter was in high school. I took Sobonfu there for Black History Month, and she got to speak at front of my daughter's assembly, right? And the kids were really touched and like I said, I love young people, so it's my mission too, is all people. I love all people, but
Of course.
I like to work with everybody. And as I get older, everybody's a young person. So, now young people are like, oh yeah, you're 60, you're young.
I love it.
Come on, yeah, come on, you little whippersnapper.
That's right.
So, here I am, she's speaking, and I see kids being touched by her words. And one of the kids who had already been in her presence because of Ashley and that her being her best buddy, right? Comes, all these kids come over, and then she leaves and she calls me and she says, they walk for water. Why can't we?
Oh, will you back up and actually talk? You talked about that in your book, or maybe it was in Sobonfu's book. I can't remember, but will you talk about the village walking for water and just give it that context?
They had to walk, at the time, sometimes 6 to 12 hours for water, depending on the time of the year, right? Sometimes they would have to walk and they would have to squeeze the mud, wash down, squeeze the mud to get water. I mean, water, it was their jobs to walk for water. She said she was an inch shorter because she had to walk for water. And then they'd have to walk back. And she told me a story. And I mean, to me, it's just crazy to think that people don't have water, right?
Mm.
She was maybe 5 or 4, and she was given the task to get the water for her family that day with the other women. And she walked and she got it. She was really proud that she got to do it. She was so proud of herself, right? She's the one that gets to carry the water back.
Life, yeah.
She sees the village, and it's pretty flat there where she's from, and she sees the village, and it's probably a mile away, and she starts to run with the water. And then
Ugh.
she said, I felt like I killed my family.
Ugh.
But what a heavy thing, right? To feel like you killed your family. And she didn't, of course, because people shared their water.
Mhm.
But that poor little girl,
Mm.
So when she said the one thing that she needed, she said, we have connection, we are connected, but we don't have water. And so when this kid, Kristen Karenchak, Wood now is her last name, called me and said they walk for water, why can't we? I was like, that is a no-brainer. Why can't we?
Wow. Mm.
And so that's how Walking for Water started. And yeah, and that's how
Beautiful.
water is life, right? So that's how we started bringing life to different places.
Yes.
So with Walking for Water, do you go speak in various places around that? And you use the teenagers and the high schools and the science groups, and you go in and help them understand that that's still a problem. I mean, here in
Still doing it's Wisdom Spring is the nonprofit, and the project is Walking for Water. And I had 7 kids in my house yesterday. I mean, I still meet with them even in the summer, my kids here in Laguna Beach. And like we're doing an event on the 6th, celebrating the Dalai Lama's birthday because it's his 90th birthday. And I put water wells into Tibetan villages. Right now, I'm doing a project that is we're raising money for phase 3 in Ladakh, India, which is, when you're thinking about how people will cross, and it's for the nomadic people there because they leave Tibet, right? Or it's not Tibet anymore, it's China. They leave China to be able to practice their ways and to live in their communities. And it's like the the shepherds, the sheep herders there, you know,
right.
putting water wells in strategic places so that they have water so that they can thrive and continue to bring, food to the villages at the outskirts of Ladakh. So yeah, it's a beautiful project, and I help the kids find their gift in the project. And I'm now creating enrichment classes and courses. I've just started doing this to take to younger students because I really do think middle schoolers need it, and the younger the better, because our poor high schoolers, especially, and everybody, especially since COVID, are very isolated. It's been really hard for them to figure out how to create. It's hard for us. How do we create community in this crazy world right now? And I think the lack of community has caused a lot of problems in our culture, and in all cultures. We're not connected enough in our communities. And so I help the kids find a sacred space to start thinking about, what is it I love, and what can I do in this project that brings me joy, right? So some
Mm.
kid, like I have one kid, he loves to speak. So he speaks, at events. And I have another kid she's an artist. She'll create the logo. I might have another kid on the East Coast create a logo. They may decide which one are they going to use this year. So they also collaborate within the East and West Coast. But I wanted to expand. I wanted to live after I'm gone. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. And so I
I
have.
want to thank you. I have a science teacher here locally who works at this beautiful school just a few miles from where I live, and she would so resonate with your mission and her daughter. But she's a middle school science teacher, and you would love her.
Well, and I'm looking for that. And I'm looking for people to say yes, because I really believe if we can teach our children to be humanitarians
Mm, yeah.
and teach them the value of collaboration and not feeling like you have to do it alone, because
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
causes this aloneness, right? And so this is a space where they can start to think, wait, we can work together and we don't have to do it all by ourselves.
Right.
And
I'm getting kind of a hit that it feels like it may be just because, yeah, we haven't mentioned this yet, but Susan and I have swapped locations. She lives in Laguna Beach, where I grew up, and I now live 20 minutes from where Susan grew up in Leesburg. So it's nutty. But so what I just got kind of a feeling about is, because I have connections at some of the Montessori schools around here, that if we brought you in and invited all of the schools or select schools to come into like a collaborative event at one of the community centers, would be really special.
I mean, I would love that. And that's where Sobonfu kind of started, in a library, is where I brought her the first time. So
Oh,
you say that. And I love, I go back to Virginia frequently because number one, it's my home.
mhm.
Is it's my energy. I still feel it there. I feel it here too, and I feel it there. And yeah, I say yes. And to collaborate with you, oh my gosh, Amy, that'd be so much fun.
It'd be fun.
Think it's like can be so much fun, and the kids get to really like play with them with it, and it's I always say to them, hey, it's hard work,
Mm.
but it's also fun, right? And so
Yeah.
it does draw kids in, that what it draws all kinds of kids in. It's like And it's been hard. COVID made it hard. It's like kind of it's as it's happening right now, it's reformulating. Like it's like kind of a new collaboration that I was like, it got a little for me, like, what am I doing? And now it's like, wait, I don't have, I mean, because when Sobonfu died, I was lonely in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready, like, come on, man. I
Yeah. We can
need
still do this.
you
Let's
too.
go.
And how can we make it juicy again? How can we make it feel more alive and
Yeah.
help our children to feel more alive through making a difference? And I may have a Native American place to put in a well. So to me, that even makes it even more,
Wow.
Yeah.
right? So 55 wells,
Amazing.
6,000 kids educated, orphan girls first. We're also helping a school with female genital mutilation where the fathers have to sign an agreement saying they will not mutilate their daughters, because you know that happens between the ages of 8 to 12.
Ugh.
Yeah, so that's exciting work too. And so, yeah, I mean, I need you. Whoever's out there, hear it, because our kids need you.
Yeah.
Montessori schools feel so much because I trained as a Montessori middle school teacher, and it so feels in alignment with Maria Montessori's mission is to, and I don't remember, there was a word she called it for bringing out the kids' individual gifts. And when we can bring out our individual gifts, we can change the world, and we can bring peace to the world when we are at peace within. So peace and joyful within, right? So like the Montessori just feels like such an aligned connection.
Yeah, and you just don't know how kids are going to show up either. And I
Yeah.
used one of my first groups, it was sweet. I had a young man who would come to my house every single meeting. He wouldn't say anything, but I knew he was holding the space for something really special, right? And so you just don't know what the gift looks like, and you can't even sometimes put words.
Just don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a part of the whole,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sacred. And
Yes.
and that's the same with rituals, right? It's a place where you can do these maintenance rituals by yourself, but oh my gosh, when you come together, it like really, really where it happens.
Yeah.
What I mean, you two doing this is where it happens, and each gift is needed to make that happen, right? And this is
Interdependence, like I've been talking a lot about interdependence, like, and the beautiful, just the space that that opens up is understanding that we're not isolated, that we have to be independent in our own power and our magic, but it's the interdependence that the world thrives on and relies on, but we've lost that in, like we've lost our community, and communities do have that interdependence.
and so do our partnerships. You have to have, there's codependence, but it's interdependence
Yep.
again. How could you not be with somebody and not feel a little bit of codependence? But if it's
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Right.
balanced, right? Partnerships and work, it has to be balanced.
Yeah. Well, Amy and I talk about this project between us, Coffee Date with Spirit, fully as we find the energy together for it. It comes together with both of us
And
and
spirit, right?
and spirit,
It actually reminds me of
spirit of intimacy.
the spirit of intimacy and the physical intimacy, or the way she talks about physical intimacy not being about attraction, but being about channeling spirit, right? And I just thought, I was like, yes, thank you, right? So when you invite spirit into the mix, and when you invite that consciousness, like things are so much bigger. Such a beautiful metaphor that you can take and expand outward in all relationships, coming together with spirit. It's just
Nice.
the way.
And I love the name of your show too, because
It came from a line. There were two things about it. One was a blog post Amy had written, and I had this feeling about coffee dates. I was doing coffee with a coach for myself as a life coach. And I saw Amy do this blog post, and I think I took a picture of it and I circled it and I sent it to her. I'm like, this could be a podcast or something, or something like that.
Thing. I think you're like, this is a thing. And I was like, and then we started connecting. I'm like, it's our podcast.
It just came together. That was because of words.
It is like all about what you and Sobonfu teach is finding the sacred in the everyday. It's like coffee date with spirit means that we can have a sacred moment with our coffee, right? Or by walking outside the door mindfully, like
inviting in spirit to be with us in the moment.
Spirit, gotta feel you a little bit more today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Please.
Come on. Girlfriend out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Susan, it has been a pleasure speaking with you and getting to know your story about who you are, about your work with Sobonfu, about your work with water. I think your mission is amazing, and hopefully we can help accelerate that or just support it in some way, and we'll work with you on that.
So excited. And
Yeah.
I just say you guys are so special. You're special both. You carry such great energy and greatness to
Thank you.
everybody who listens. Feels
Thank you. Thank you very much.
carry into the world. So thank you for your medicine, and thank you for having me on. It was just such a complete joy. So easy.
It's just wonderful to get to know you. And I'm just honored also to get to know you after all this time. It feels really special to me
How
too.
come we didn't get here? I guess you get it at the right time, right?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite ritual to close? A bye for now ritual?
For now ritual. Oh, that's an interesting one. Let me see what I can come up with from now. Maybe there is no bias. Maybe we're all interconnected. May we continue to be connected. May our spirits and our souls engage one another in a way that brings complete and utter healing to the planet and to ourselves and to all who we come by and who we engage with throughout every moment of our day. And may we walk on this planet gently with our own inner medicine wheel and be nice to ourselves. So that's my goodbye. Bring this medicine into you and know that you are medicine that the world needs. And we need each other to really make it even bigger and brighter and a better world. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. All right. Bye,
Love
Susan.
you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to connect with Susan Hough, please visit her website, livingyourgifts.com, and or purchase her beautiful book, Walking with Sobonfu. The other book that we mentioned in this episode by her teacher, mentor, and friend is called The Spirit of Intimacy by Sobonfu Somé, and we highly recommend both books. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Come take a peek with me, I see another side.
Thanks for joining us. Until our next coffee date, may Spirit lead you into all the magic